are geek-centric, and you can be too. Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Hi, Carol. We're so happy you could join us for this auditory listening experience. We really hope you enjoy it, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts. And for everyone else, welcome to the Geek-Centric Podcast, and welcome to our special Behind the Geeks episode for Pluribus. My name is Nate, and if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geek-Centric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, games, and all things geek-centric. And today, we are excited to share with you our interviews with the cast and showrunners behind one of my favorite shows, one of our favorite shows of 2025, Pluribus. What an absolutely incredible run Apple TV has had this year between the second season of Severance, the studio, and now a brand new Vince Gilligan series. And you know, one of the things as we were I was kind of studying for this interview. I'm going to use I. Sorry, I guess I'm not joined. But one of the things that I was doing as I was sort of studying, and Justin and I were looking up some information for this these interviews, is that Vince Gilligan loves to bring his cast and his crew and just all the wonderful and incredible people that he works with along with him from his previous series. And we're talking about some of the most influential shows of our time: Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, The X-Files. Like, I mean, it's just the things that these people have created are shows and series that other shows and series have pulled from, and you've seen parodies of, and the same can be said for Pluribus. We had the opportunity to check out the entire season, and dude, as a fan of Breaking Bad, as a fan of sci-fi mystery box shows, this series just hits in the best way possible. If you're already watching it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I cannot wait for season 2 to see where Carol's story goes next. But with all that said, let me tell you who's joining us on the podcast today. Today we've got 3 cast members and 3 showrunners, starting with Karolina Wydra and Carlos-Manuel Vesga, who play the very much joined Zosha, and the very much opposite, definitely not joined, Manusos. And with them, we discuss the premise of this series and where they might personally stand, whether that be with Manusos or Carol and sort of humanity, or the joined and Zosha and the complicated questions that spark from that conversation. It was great getting to chat with them and sort of aligning with them on the back and forth nature of the very center of this series and the questions that it brings up. We also had the pleasure of chatting with Carol herself. Rhea Seehorn joins us, and with her, she goes deep on the question of whether or not she sees Carol's immunity with a sense of loss or a sense of power. And last but certainly not least, we welcome the brilliant minds behind this series, executive producer and writer Alison Tatlock, executive producer and writer Gordon Smith, and executive producer, writer, showrunner, and creator of Pluribus, Vince Gilligan. Which, if you just for a moment here, if you had told me back in 2013, when I was watching, when Breaking Bad ended, and I was sitting there riveted by it, sitting on the edge of my couch, if you had told me that we would get the opportunity to talk to the brilliant minds behind that series, Vince Gilligan himself, I probably would have thought you were on some blue sky. I'll be honest with you. So this was such a wonderful, incredible opportunity. And with them, we bring up what it's like to write characters like Carol and the sort of creating these characters that audiences might have a sense of ambivalence towards, hot and cold relationship with, as well as writing a series that approaches happiness as something to be terrified of. Again, a huge thanks to our friends at Apple TV Canada for the opportunity to chat with all these outstanding and talented individuals. Pluribus is streaming right now on Apple TV with the finale tonight if you're listening to this on the day that we've released it. So let's get to these conversations. Just before I do, if you want to check out more of our interviews, you can catch all of our interviews either here on your podcast service of choice, or you can watch them over on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. Go check that out. Subscribe as well. We just recently had the opportunity to speak with Stephen Lang from Avatar: Fire and Ash, as well as James Cameron is on the Geekcentric podcast. So we've got some red carpet clips as well as a couple sit-down interviews that you can check out. You can catch those, again, some of them, the sit-down interviews on our YouTube as well as on our socials for some of those clips that we've clipped out at Geekcentric YT on Twitter. We are Geekcentric on Instagram or TikTok. You can stay up to date with us, see what we're getting up to. A massive thank you from all of us here to you listening to this, to our listeners, anyone who takes the opportunity to check out anything that we've made here at Geekcentric. Thank you. It's because of you that we get these wonderful opportunities, and we're so thankful for your support, and we can't wait to dive into a new year with all of you and get to experience even more Geekcentric in 2026. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas from all of us here to you and yours. And now please enjoy our interviews with Karolina Wydra and Carlos-Manuel Vesga. Hey,
Hi,
Karolina.
guys.
How are you?
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you.
You know, we're coming out of the gates pretty hot here with our first question. You know, one of the show's central themes or tensions is whether peace is worth the loss of choice. And we know where both of your characters kind of stand in this world, but personally, do you sympathize more with embracing the joined or resisting it?
I know it's such a complex question. It's so you can't answer one way or the other. I feel for me, of course, it's like individuality is so important. The idea of, you know, never being surprised or never experiencing new art for the first time and having that moment of going on the journey of just being in awe of a new painting or a new play or going to a live concert, or, you know, not to have the experience. It'd be really hard to give that up. Free thought, comedy, free thoughts, you know, that would be really hard. But with all that said, then you have this incredible world where there's no prejudice and peace, and, you know, we care about the planet and we live in communally to really preserve energy, and we care about all these things. We kind of nice to have that, and we have respect and tolerance and unconditional love for each other. That's pretty incredible, especially in the times that we live in today, where we're just so divided.
For me, it's depends on the day you ask me.
Great answer.
One day I would say, yes, absolutely, I stand with Manusus, and I would like the world back as it was. Especially, definitely, I think, for me, it presents an ambivalence between, or a question: can you have wisdom and innocence at the same time? I don't think you can. And if I could choose one, I would stay with innocence. I don't think. I mean, these people, the others are very wise, but innocence is lost. Like, for instance,
Is it though? That's the conversation we always have.
the child knows how to give birth,
But they
labor,
have it.
to assist labor.
Yes, but this is what we did all the time.
Yeah,
On
this is
set, I was
what we
like,
do all the time.
wait a
This is what we're
second,
doing.
wait a
I
second.
mean, if you know everything, you are wise. But it's
but
what
what
you
if
were
there's, like,
talking
it
about.
depends
No
what age.
surprise. There's
There's no surprise, but maybe there's innocence is there until a certain age because they're still developing, and by the time that
What do you what? No. Nice try, baby. Nice try. No. So, but then if you ask me the next day, I'll say, well, what about the other species in the planet? If you ask the other species in the planet, they would probably say, the joining, please. Stop hunting us. Stop eating us. Stop just training the land. Just stop all that. So depends on the day, but definitely both sides have an argument to put, you know?
a very good argument, yeah.
We very much feel the same way, and you know, I think it's one of those things where we're having those same conversations episode to episode.
Yes,
and the word that you
thank
brought
you.
up, Carlos-Manuel, that ambivalence, right? That ambivalence is something that Vince Gilligan is so good at incorporating into his stories and his characters. You know, as we do have to wrap soon, but I wanted to ask Without spoiling anything, of course, but when people finish this season, for both of you, what question do you hope that they're still debating with themselves? I mean, again, we just brought up that this series brings up so many emotions and questions and moral questions. Is there something specific that you hope audiences will take away after the season has wrapped?
I don't know if what they would take for my character. I would say, I think go on this journey of I think being like, why were we wrong the whole time, or were we right the whole time? I think it's that question of like, where
For me, I'm not sure I'm thinking of a specific question. I would like people to be restless when they finish the season, and just hopefully people to jump into action to better their world, to think, to reflect on their existence, and just move towards a way of having a better one.
I love that. Well, listen, both of you are
Great.
so excellent in this show. Those are great answers. Great answers. Thank you so much for
Vesga,
taking
you
the
did
time.
it again.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you,
so
guys.
much.
And now our interview with Rhea Seehorn. Hey, Ray, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us on the Geekcentric podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. We're
Yeah.
talking to you.
Yeah.
And we have been loving this show. We've been loving your performance.
Oh, thanks.
One thing that we've always talked about is how Carol's immunity isn't framed as a gift. Did you approach playing her with more of a sense of loss rather than having this superpower of immunity?
Well, I think that it was very important to me, and Vince and everybody on the show, down to hair, makeup, costumes, all of it, that that the grief be real, the grief of losing her partner, her loved one, somebody that clearly was her buffer as the misanthrope that she was to the entire world. But she also lost everyone, and she also lost her career. She also lost her reason to get up in the morning. Like, it's profound grief and an existential grief because there is no end to it. And it was important for us that be authentic and be because Vince Gilligan's fans and audiences are so intelligent, and I think that part of the reason they love his shows is because the intelligence is rewarded, and it is assumed instead of not assumed by not telling you exactly what to think and spoon feeding what's going on and making sure the song lets you know when it's sad and all of that stuff. So we wanted to, honor that by saying, like, grief isn't just over the next day. There's a reason that she doesn't get up and take a shower and put makeup on tomorrow, because grief is its own temporary kind of insanity, and Carol's is being existentially drawn out to God knows how long. However, I didn't come at it of like, the objective is to play the loss. It's the burden to doing anything. And so Carol, and I feel like it's this huge, premise through this sci-fi lens, examining what is actually very small human nature behavior. And even though I have not been in that exact circumstance, and I would assume the viewers have not either, I think most of us have grieved someone or witnessed somebody grieving somebody, and it's its own kind of temporary insanity. And it is sometimes very hard to even get up off the floor. And Carol, this very reluctant hero, has this thing just scratching from the inside saying, somebody has to fight. And I think she was sincerely hoping somebody else would. I mean, even when we went and did the scene where she goes to Spain to meet the others, Vince was telling me, he was like, she hopes someone else has a great idea. She just wanted to, like, bring, cups and plates to the rebellion, not lead it. So she's this extraordinarily reluctant hero, but she can't let go of, like, what she thinks is worth fighting for, and what she thinks. I don't even think she ever used to sit around trying to define what makes us human, but she knows that individual thought should be fought for, and that there is something wrong with what's going on. And that's what makes her it's like the 500-pound sandbag is on her when she's laying down or watching Golden Girls. And seeing, and no matter, and how tired she is after, freaking putting pavers all day over her wife's grave, being reminded of that loss, physically exhausted. And right when she slumps in the chair, that bag goes over and she sees that barcode. And it's that thing that, like, I don't know about you, but like, I remember I was in New York after 9/11, during 9/11, and we got called back to go to rehearsal before anybody knew exactly what was going on for a play I was doing. And I was like, that's insane. Like, who cares about plays right now? And then I realized how grateful I was for somebody to tell me to put pants on and tell me that I needed to be somewhere by 10 a.m. And I think that's how Carol feels in that moment of like, at least I have a job. It's it is both being reluctant hero, but it is also a distraction and a relief from just sitting under the 500-pound sandbag.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, your performance is absolutely phenomenal in this show. We do have to begin to wrap, but I just have to say there's a moment in episode 8 between you and Zosha where she kisses you, and the just the look on your face is one of the most incredible things I've seen on TV. That internal emotions just crashing into each other. That, I have no idea how someone is able to do that. You did such a wonderful job.
Thank you.
So I needed to let you know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Complicated
Absolutely
moment.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Sure.
Again, you're incredible. The show is incredible. And we can't wait to see where Carol ends up.
Thank you. Thanks so much, guys.
And finally, our interview with Alison Tatlock, Gordon Smith, and Vince Gilligan.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so
Hey.
much for taking the time to chat with us on the Geek-Centric podcast. How y'all doing?
Good to see you guys, Justin and Nate. Good to be here.
Happy to have you. We're so stoked to talk to all of you. This show, you've all done such an incredible job with this show. Vince, to kind of kick things off, we love how you've mastered crafting characters like Walter White and Carol Sturka that keep the audiences, us included, in a state of mixed feelings episode to episode. What is the key to balancing a character's both agreeable and disagreeable qualities without losing your audience?
Well, the first order of business is having great actors and great writers, and then all of us just putting our heads together for months and months on end. And I think another key to it is not spending too much time worrying about how likable or unlikable a character is. Just letting the character seem real, creating characters that are as real as possible. And again, the actors are a big part of making that happen. And then letting the chips fall where they may, letting the plot take us where it takes us, having the characters, remaining true to the characters. And then it's up to the audience whether they like the characters or not. But we try not to spend too much. What did you say?
I would say we even more. It's a question of like, is the character interesting?
Yeah, that's
what they're going to
important.
do. Interesting.
Yeah.
That seems to carry further than just, do I like them or do I not like them? Because hopefully that changes through the show and that changes as you're watching them.
Yeah, Alison. Yeah, you don't worry about that, do you? When you we don't really when happy, likable or not.
No, we don't worry about it. And I was just thinking that in the case of Walter White and Carol and also Jimmy McGill, we start with characters that you created, co-created and created, who have a lot of internal conflict already to begin with, which is what makes them meaty and interesting to kick off. Like they're already in a state of sort of dissonance within themselves, and then throw them into crazy variety of circumstances. How do they respond? And it's not going to be smooth, and that's what's fun about it. And they are going to struggle, and that's what's great about it. And especially to be able to write a female lead who has just as much inner turmoil and just as much displeasure in responding to hard things that are happening around her is incredibly gratifying. So I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely. And I think there's a great sense of relatability to these characters that makes them, that imperfection makes them relatable. One thing that we've loved about Pluribus is how it just imagines a world where humanity is finally at peace, but at the cost of individuality. Now, for all of you, what excited you most about exploring happiness as something potentially terrifying? Alison, we'll start with you.
Yes, this was a little bit challenging for me in a way. I mean, full disclosure, I worked for many years in youth violence intervention. I know that sounds like a crazy left turn, but in doing that work, I had to try so hard to communicate to young people about how connected we all are. I mean, just to sound cheesy for a moment, like about our shared humanity. What do we all have in common? Can we find a way to actually connect and live in peace with each other? And now presented with this incredible premise that Vince came up with, where this has happened to most of humanity now are connected and peaceful and have achieved what I would have thought of in the past as this ideal, and yet at this horrible cost, as you say. And so I had to really kind of internally weigh the pros and cons and at least be honest with myself about what I saw as the benefits, even as I know we're rooting for Carol and that I would root for her individuality and my own and all of ours.
Yeah, I love that answer. I was going to say, much as I'm fascinated by the Mariana Trench or the dark side of the moon, having never been there, I'm interested to write about happiness. That's a subject I know very little about. So, yeah, that was part of it for me. What about for you, Gordon?
Oh, I mean, it is the challenge of it, because it seems like it's very difficult. The others are. Sometimes I think of the others less as like people or or one big person than like a mountain. It's like they're so primal, because we're talking about this primal emotion of just happiness, and it's Carol versus happiness in a certain way. That keeps developing. When you're on one side, when you're on the other side, when do you feel like happiness is a block to you getting what you want? When is it the thing that you want the most, but you know that it's bad for you? All of those things are things that we get to explore. So it's like, I don't know, it's super fun. But it is quite a challenge to sort of keep things moving and break things down story-wise so that they're understandable to us, even when we're trying to work through it.
And when does consensus become scary?
Yeah.
When does it tip into something that actually feels threatening, even though it's being presented in a very nice way?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time chatting with us about this incredible show. You've all done such an incredible job. We absolutely love it, and we can't wait for more in a season 2. So
thanks, Nate. Thanks, Justin. Thank you, guys. This was fun.
Have a good one.
Have a
Thank
good
you so
one.
much.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays.